I'm recording this video because I want people to know who ICE is really taking. Yesterday, ICE took my dad, and I just had to go recover his truck from an impound because he left it on the side of the road. What he left behind is his work shirt, his work hat. He had gotten himself a sweet treat because he really likes sweet stuff. He had bought water for the house. He left his tools. They are not taking criminals, like they said. They're not taking the worst of the worst. He was just taking stuff from his shop that he had just recently had to shut down because he no longer had work. He was putting it away at his friend's house and he never came back. I was going to invite him for lunch. Then my mom called me and told me that he texted her that he had been pulled over and never called back. We tried calling him and his phone just wasn't going through. And now I don't know when the next time I'll see my dad is. We're people just like y'all.
According to Track Immigration, as of November 16th, ICE had 65,135 human beings in detention facilities in the U.S. 73.6% of those currently held in detention facilities, concentration camps in the United States, have no criminal convictions at all. The majority of those who do have minor offenses, misdemeanors, things like traffic violations. During the month of October alone, ICE abducted and stuffed into detention facilities 41,641 human beings. Private corporations in the following states are housing most of the detainees: Texas, Louisiana, California, Georgia, and Florida. ICE is currently monitoring 182,115 families and single individuals. Those are folks who are not currently being kept in concentration camps, but they are being monitored by ICE, meaning they are at high risk for deportation, abduction, being put in a detention facility, or sent who knows where. Starting in May of this year, Stephen Miller directed ICE and Customs and Border Patrol to focus specifically on non-criminals, folks who have no criminal record, are decent, hardworking, pay their taxes, live quietly, are our neighbors, are folks we go to church with, are kids that are friends with our kids in school. These are people who grow and harvest our food, people who build our homes, people who own businesses in our communities. These are our neighbors. And yet, Stephen Miller has said that ICE is supposed to focus on abducting people who have committed no crimes. Being in this country undocumented is not a crime. Being undocumented is a civil infraction, but ICE is not just focusing on hard-working, undocumented immigrants trying to peacefully live their lives and pay their taxes here in the States. They're also focusing on folks who do have legal status. We know that they are choosing to go after people who are going through the asylum process, people who have been granted asylum status, people who are here legally on visas, student visas, work visas, people who have permanent resident status, green card status, spouses of veterans and active duty service members who are going through the PIP program, and American citizens. More than a dozen American citizen children have been exiled from the United States in an egregious violation of their constitutional rights. More than 170 American citizens have been abducted and detained by ICE, held for hours, held for days, not being given access to their attorneys. On Friday, here in Oregon, a 17-year-old American citizen was abducted and detained by ICE in McMinnville. That child has since been released by ICE, but just the day before in Canby, Oregon, 2 other American citizens were abducted. They claim that they were trying to film what ICE was doing in a parking lot, and ICE abducted them because of it. We see here, as so many of us predicted when all of this began, that Donald Trump and Kristi Noem and Stephen Miller want to carry out an ethnic cleansing. They are currently carrying out an ethnic cleansing in the United States. That there was never any intention to just take violent thugs and criminals. That is what Donald Trump ran on. It was a complete lie. It was absolutely something that he used to stoke the racism of his base. It was also about stoking fear in his base, right? There's a reason that this kind of rhetoric from would-be autocrats is always like, murderers and rapists, we have to protect your wives and daughters. Let us take away more and more of your rights in the name of keeping your wives and daughters safe. That is a classic move by an autocrat, and you know that they never stop there. So many of us were reading the First They Came For poem way back in January. It never was about criminals. They were never going to stop with criminals. The first folks that they targeted were not criminals. We have data from as early as March of this year showing that the regime was just picking up regular, hardworking folks. They were going for folks who are here quietly trying to live their lives, earn a living. Their kids are getting an education. They're paying their taxes. These are our neighbors. These are valued members of the community. But that's what they're here for. But that's who the regime meant to target all along. They always meant to target decent, hardworking folks. They never cared about taking criminals. All of those men that they sent to the gulag in El Salvador, because they had tattoos, they weren't violent gang members. They were not in Tren de Aragua or MS-13. They were just men with tattoos who were trying to live their lives. And the regime ruined their lives to further their lie. And then very quickly they moved on to raiding the fields where our farm laborers are growing and harvesting the food that you eat. They moved on to construction sites. We're now seeing them combing neighborhoods to snatch our landscapers, to snatch handymen that are working on our houses. They're raiding daycare centers and snatching teachers. Here in Portland, they're lurking outside the children's hospitals, waiting to abduct family members who are going to visit sick and injured children in the hospital. All around the country, they are snatching people outside hospitals, inside church services. While moms are dropping their kids off at school, ICE is there lurking, waiting to snatch them. What is happening in the United States is an ethnic cleansing. They never had any intention of it being anything else other than an atrocity. And we would all be very, very foolish to think that they're going to stop with brown people. Once they've worked through all of the immigrants, who do you think they're going to go for next? Autocratic regimes must constantly have some kind of dangerous group that they have to scapegoat, that they have to brutalize, and especially this regime, because you know what? It's not just about the autocratic rule. It's not just about taking away your rights to institute a dictatorship. It's also about the grift. Because you see, it's not just power that drives all of this, it's money. They're destroying lives. They destroyed the life of that family at the beginning of this video for billions and billions and billions in government contracts. Private businesses like Geo Group and Core Civic, Avilo Airlines, and others are making billions and billions of dollars. Ethnic cleansing is big business in the United States. And when they have snatched and abducted all of the immigrants, when they've deported hundreds of thousands of immigrants, they need to keep those coffers filled. They need those government contracts renewed. So who do you think they're going to come for next? No one is safe under a fascist regime, but it shouldn't require it getting to a place where we are personally targeted before we start to care. Donald Trump, the Republicans, Kristi Noem, Stephen Miller, they're ruining lives. They're destroying lives for power and for profit. They're destroying the lives of hundreds of thousands of people for power and profit. I'm so grateful to all of the folks who are organizing and resisting, to people who are saying, you can't take my neighbors, you can't abduct my neighbors, this is not okay. This is so wrong, and we must push back against it. We must organize to resist. I'm so grateful to see folks in Portland, in Chicago, in Asheville, in Charlotte, in Raleigh, in DC, in California, in Colorado, in Texas, in Florida. I think 30 folks were arrested yesterday in Florida protesting what ICE is doing. I'm so encouraged to see Americans rising up against this. We have to have more folks join us. We have to bring more folks on board. We have to activate folks' compassion and help move them to act, because ICE won't stop. This won't stop unless we stop it.